Hey there, thanks for downloading the Garden Fork Radio Show. If this is your first time here, it's eclectic DIY is what I call it. My name is Eric. I have a YouTube channel called Garden Fork, and I have a website at gardenfork.tv that you can go check out. And we have videos and how-to posts about an eclectic mix of maker stuff, cooking, gardening, how-to, beekeeping. Basically, whatever I do in the weekend, I make videos and I write about it. It's kind of inside Eric's brain. And Garden Fork Radio is a part of that. So welcome. Thanks for downloading that. For those of you that have been listening for a while, I've got a little contest for you. Would you like to enter a contest for a copy of The Practical Pyromaniac by William Gerstel? He was on the show, by the way. I will link to that in the show notes here. He's also the author of a book called Backyard Ballistics, and I made a really neat tennis ball launcher or bazooka, whatever you want to call it, from that book. But I have a copy of The Practical Pyromaniac, which is his second book, and there's only one way to enter, and I'm only telling this to my podcast listeners, and that is to go to iTunes, type in Garden Fork Radio, and find our Garden Fork Radio page, and write a review. All right? And hopefully you'll say something nice. You can say something bad as well, and you'll still be in the drawing. And I will include people from the last 3 months that have written a review. All right? It's The Practical Pyromaniac. Build fire tornadoes, one candle power engines, great balls of fire, and more incendiary devices. You and your kids will like this. So go to Garden Fork Radio on iTunes and write a review. All right? And in 2 weeks, I will pick somebody. And then the people from the last 3 months are included. All right, cool. It's a solo show today. It's Eric, and I have some viewer mail that's been piling up, and I need to read it. So I am here, and we are going to do that. The first one is actually a letter I got in the postal mailbox, which I was blown away by. I don't actually get a lot of mail. I'll put our mail address in the show notes here, but it's Box 130, Colebrook, Connecticut, 06021. This is from Andrea and Scott and Brett. Dear Garden Fork, our family enjoys your show very much. We love the recipes, tips, and of course the dogs. Our 6-year-old loves the dogs the best. Yay. Our very first show was banana bread in the Dutch oven in your yard, which is one of those things where you're like, you can take a Dutch oven and make it into, well, it is an oven. But it's great for camping or outdoors, or if your power gets turned off and you need to cook something. We just stumbled across your show and have passed it on to a lot of others. That's how people find Garden Fork. The web word for that is discovery, by the way. When I get a chance, I want to send you some sourdough starter and recipes. They're super fast and easy. Since you showed us how to make yogurt and sauerkraut, we've been doing that on a regular basis. Have a great week. Here's one of our delicious recipes we enjoy, and they sent me a pumpkin pie hot cocoa recipe, which was very cool. And that's from Scott, Andrea, and Brett. P.S. I didn't know if you collect things from your followers, but here's one of our business stickers. Thanks for that. And I checked out their company. If you are a gearhead, you want to know about these guys. They have a rig called the Manifold Driller. And if you've ever broken a stud off of when you're taking a manifold off an engine block and you're like, and then you say some choice words, well, the Manifold Driller will solve that problem really nicely. It looks like it's really well made, cool YouTube video, and a great company, made in America by people just starting their own business. And I love that kind of thing. So there you go. Thank you, Andrea. I'm pretty sure Andrea wrote this. But they wrote me that a really long time ago. I've been sitting on it, and I thought, I need to respond. So there you go. Hey, have you checked out our new Facebook group? It's different than the Facebook page. And if you'll just put up with me for a minute, I'll give you a little lesson on Facebook from the content creator's point of view. Facebook, you can create a page, and, movie stars create them, businesses create them, people with a mission create them. And a page is what I call a one-to-many relationship on Facebook. The person who created the page will post things, and they are seen in the news feed of the people that follow that page. The problem with that is that if you're a business, and Garden Fork is a business, on Facebook, and you create a page, not a lot of people will see any posts that have what's called an outbound link. So if I have a new video on YouTube and I post it to the Garden Fork page, not a lot of people see it. Maybe of the 6,000 people that like the page, 150 will see it. If I post an image from Instagram, about 1,200 people will see it. So it's kind of interesting. And if I just post a picture that I've uploaded into Facebook, I mean, a couple hundred people will see it. What Facebook wants businesses to do is to pay Facebook to boost a post so it will reach their followers. And that is quite expensive, actually. It's frustrating for me because I don't make a lot of money at this. And Facebook wants money from me. So I've also been wanting to create a discussion group of some sort. And I've tried it a couple times on the Garden Fork site. And it starts out well-intentioned, and then it gets hacked by spammers. And it's quite a lot of work to manage. So what I did was I created a Facebook group, which is different than a page. And it's called Garden Fork Q&A. I'll link to it in the show notes here. But if you just type in Garden Fork Q &A, or just type in Garden Fork group, it will hopefully show up. And it's what I call a closed group. In other words, myself or one of the administrators, who are all volunteers, just need to double check that you're not a spammer and that you're a real person, and then you're approved for the group, which takes less than a day usually. If you have an open group, it is wide open for spammers, and it just becomes yet another problem. What is really cool is that it is a many-to-many relationship. So a bunch of people that are on there posting pictures of their gardens or their dogs, asking questions, and other people are answering their questions. So it's not just me broadcasting to everyone, it's everyone talking to everyone else, which is really neat. So you go to if you're on Facebook, search for Garden Fork Q&A group, or maybe you'd even type in Garden Fork group, it'll show up. On the Garden Fork Facebook page, there's also a link as well. So just a little, what we would call that? Update, I guess we'd call that. Yeah. All right, let's read some mail from Michelle. To start, I would like to say my children and I love your video and radio content. I'm currently listening to the archived Garden Fork episodes on your website, so thanks for keeping those accessible. I really enjoy listening to them while driving or in my earpiece at work, and my girls try to cook the recipes you try or crafts you make. Cool. So thanks to you and the camera person for all the hard work. My story begins with my washing machine. Last week it stopped spinning all the water out of the laundry. A few months ago we had to replace a belt due to it filling with water and not moving, and that worked great, and we thought we dodged a bullet. In other words, not having to get it repaired or buy a new one. So when it stopped removing all the water from the laundry, we called a repair person we know. He confirmed that the transmission had gone bad and we have to invest in a new machine. So we did. The next morning, my other half loads the dryer with the laundry and leaves for work. 10 hours later, he comes home to find the dryer still running, the laundry not dry and not warm. We both think, hey, maybe it's just an element, we can replace that. The heating element in the dryer they're talking about. The next night, he takes the dryer apart and finds that this particular dryer is not easily fixed, and we frustratingly bought a new dryer as well. Now, please know that just to get the washer and dryer into the house, we had to take the screen door retractor arm thing off the door, remove the bathroom door and its framing, and just to put them in where the laundry machines belong. So there I was, brand new washer and dryer, and laundry piled up everywhere. I'm getting ready to get this mess cleaned up. I washed one load, throw them in the dryer, and of course start the next washing. I come back an hour or later or less, only to find the same result with the new dryer as with the old one. Cold, wet laundry. I didn't even want to tell the man of the house, but what can I do? I have 2 loads of wet laundry and no dryer or clothesline. Of course, we have a video about how to put up a clothesline. It'll be in the show notes here. He took that as well as any man who had just spent a chunk of change on a new appliance, torn half the house apart to install it, only to have it not function either. He started looking for alternative problems and found a semi-functioning breaker. It didn't trip. It was burned and still sending enough power to turn the dryer on, but not heat it. We could have saved $400 if we checked and replaced the $10 circuit breaker. Sorry seems like a long email on my little phone, but expensively humorous. Having a great day anyway. And that's from Michelle. So yeah, I mean, sometimes, and I wouldn't have thought to check the circuit breaker there. You know, I mean, a lot of times you go through these steps on how to fix something, and the first one is it plugged in? And if it was, well, of course it's plugged in. But, you know, sometimes it's not plugged in. And this time, circuit breakers can fail, and it's an epic fail where they just stop working, or they can be kind of flaky, especially actually GFI breakers, ground fault circuit interrupters, can be like that. So that was interesting. So check your circuit breaker before replacing the whole dryer. Neat, huh? Couple of things from the YouTube channel. We just put up a video about a raised bed that we built in Brian's backyard. It was used, we basically had a bunch of what's called dimensional lumber left over. And dimensional lumber is old. This house was built probably in 1910, and it's a 2x4 is really 2 inches by 4 inches. And these are wall studs. And we had a bunch of them, so Brian built 2 raised beds in his backyard. And one of the reasons he built raised beds was because of soil contamination. The backyards in New York City, you just presume that they are contaminated because of the lead and also chromium. And that is not because of a huge amount of, somebody dumping lead in your backyard, but most areas had a local incinerator back in the day. And so whatever they would burn, a lot of it would have lead in it and it would precipitate out. And a lot of the houses were painted with lead paint. So on the back wall of the house, the lead paint has probably flaked off from years and years, and it gets into the soil. So if you have a raised bed and you put a barrier between it and the soil, the contaminated soil, and you put in new soil that you've bought, a lot of times people in New York buy the 40-pound bags from the blue store or the orange store and haul it in, you have yourself a raised bed. So I put a video out about that. It's an updated video from our defunct DIY channel, but I was able to add in a couple things that I thought were helpful for people. A couple things on that, we used regular old timbers that happened to be almost 100 years old or over 100 years old, but we painted them linseed oil. And I like using linseed oil to keep wood kind of preserved, but it doesn't have a wood preservative infused into it. And coming next week, we are actually doing a podcast with my friend Aaron about garden myths. And one of the myths we're going to talk about is whether you can use pressure-treated lumber in a raised bed garden. And I'm sure there are people out there that have opinions about that. And I think you'll find the answer that I researched very interesting for that. So there you go. But I have a couple of neat comments about the raised beds from, there's a fella out there whose name is Tomas, and he's like, this is awesome. And I'm like, yay, about that. And Tango Joe, who I think lives on Long Island, he has a spice company called Tango Joe's. One great garden, and that white wall is genius. There certainly looks like a wide variety of crops growing too. Great video, Eric. And yeah, Brian's house backs up to a commercial building, and it's just it was a gray cement wall, and he painted it white. And I thought that was brilliant because the guy that owns the building doesn't really care, he can't see that part of his building. And painting it white will reflect more sunlight that's actually hitting that cement wall and bounce it in. So I thought that was kind of cool. So there you go. Just a little bit of an Eric solo show there with a couple of really nice notes. It's always great to hear from everybody. radio@gardenfork.tv is the email address. Or you can also leave comments on our website and on this episode. And of course, you're all going to go to iTunes now, type in Garden Fork Radio, find our page, and write a review so you can be included in the contest for William Gerstel's The Practical Pyromaniac. All right, so everyone, go make it a great day. Remember, done is better than perfect. See ya. Garden Fork's theme music is used under license from uniquetracks.com.